Okay, so here's spoiler corner.
Give me that.
Okay, so the first thing, we'll just say it off the bat, it's Khan. I think everybody
Khan.
knew that going in, but...
Yeah, I will say, okay, let me say this. Most of the spoilers up until the end I thought were good, although I had figured them out all about 5 minutes ahead of time before they revealed them. Because I think you were going to smack me, because I kept whispering to you, I think that's Carol Marcus. It's just, shut up.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of familiar characters that come back here, and the big one is that it's Khan. A lot of people probably guessed that, but the guy does great.
And the funny thing, I didn't have any problem with that.
Yeah, he was actually really
He
good.
actually made a perfect Khan. Now, here's the thing. I will say this. He is Space Seed Khan, which was different from
This
Wrath
is
of
Superhuman Khan. Yeah, well, and
Yeah.
British Khan, apparently,
watch-
too. He's British now.
I mean, they're just gonna. He does not even attempt a Cuban accent.
He just does his own thing.
Yeah, this is not
But
Fantasy
it's still
Island.
the character.
Yeah, and this is the thing. I mean, don't go into this expecting, people who complain about him being Khan. Remember this. This is not Wrath of Khan. He altered. Ricardo Montalban altered his performance a bit. It definitely had a sort of different vibe to it. This is more the Space Seed Khan of super intellectual, just revived.
Superhuman.
Yeah, basically the superhuman, and he sells it. Benedict
Wonderful
Cumberbatch
job.
completely sells it. I thought he was legitimately terrifying. He was legitimately threatening. There's a scene where he goes on, and his love for his crew, which they ripped from, Wrath of Khan, this concept that, as Khan said, once I was a leader of men. So you have this concept that he really is attached to his crew, and that was the last thing in Wrath of Khan, when his version of Starbuck dies, I will avenge you, So that was a very, and it creates an interesting dynamic between him and Kirk, which is they both love their crew, and it's, what do you do, and Spock's solution to that as well with the torpedoes was brilliant.
One of the best things that I wish they did more of, I thought maybe this was the direction they were going to go into before we get to the ending, is that him and Kirk are very similar and actually have to join forces and are sort of working off each other for a bit, and I almost would have found it interesting if they created this reality where they're almost friends, and they're almost going that route, but they're also sort of keeping an eye on each other, and that stuff was great, and I wish it went longer, but I like the fact that they put them together and they had to work together.
That was brilliant, the alliance of convenience, and I'm a huge fan of alliances of conveniences in screenplays and stuff. It's always an interesting dynamic. So it's definitely an alliance of convenience in the middle. That spoiler didn't bother me. I saw Carol Marcus coming a mile away. The second there's like, oh yeah, I'm Carol Wallace. Admiral Marcus sent me. I'm like, I wonder who this is. She even looks kind of like BB Besh from, Star Trek 2. Like,
I actually forgot about that character too, remind me. I'm like, oh, her, okay.
Yeah, it was just the blonde. It was like, I could kind of see this. This would be a really, really young version, of the one we saw from Wrath of Khan.
That does well too. It's not just a pretty face. Although they do exploit it.
There is a fan service moment, but I honestly, it's lame. It did not bother me too much because it could have been so much worse.
Yeah, they made it quick, but it's still stupid.
Somebody was complaining that there's like, oh no, they did nothing with their character. There was. I never felt that she and Kirk were in love. I was like, I think you missed the point. This was the character's introduction.
Yeah, this is the beginning.
Which is why the fan service moment didn't bother me, because I think Kirk was kind of getting that whole like, oh, she's kind of attractive, and I think he was kind of scoping her out
I think that is the purpose of the fan service scene too. Honestly, I think that's the purpose of it. They just push it a little too far. She has like an underwear.
I mean, Kirk comes off as a creeper, basically.
But he always kind of was. So it's like, that's fine, but all you
So-
need is him turning and her saying, turn around. Oh, you don't need to show everything. That was the fan service in my opinion. She looks great.
So, and I was worried that they were going to make her character just a blonde bimbo. And when it was all said and done, I'm like, no, she's kind of like a Gwen Stacy. She's brilliant. Her whole story arc with her father,
She contributes a lot, yes.
fascinating. Now, here's the thing. She gets kicked in the stomach by Khan, which
I thought was the leg.
I thought she got... Was it the leg?
Somewhere. I know.
Her
She's
stomach.
hit by Khan, yeah. What, you think she'd break in half or something like that?
No, I was wondering if this is something like, I was like, was she pregnant or something? Were they like, I don't know, it just seemed very weird for me, because I grabbed her stomach. Is this setting up something later? Because she has Kirk's son in Star Trek. Well, in between the treks, but,
we haven't seen
Kirk's son is in Star Trek too. Yeah, so I didn't know if that was some weird foreshadowing or some plot point they're trying to keep open. I don't know.
But people don't want to hear us talk about it. If you've seen this, you've probably seen the film. You know what you want us to talk about. Okay, so let's discuss the ending here. You start.
Okay. To even attempt to do what they want to do, which is to replay the ending to Star Trek II only with the roles reversed with Kirk and Spock, is not the most arrogant task on the planet. It is the most ambitious task. I'm not going to claim it's hubris or arrogance. I'm going to claim it's over-ambition. And it is like scaling Mount Everest. You have to know exactly what you're doing. You have to have trained for this forever. And if you don't have a clear plan and know exactly what you're doing going into trying to attempt this, you're going to botch it. And that is what happened. These are clever screenwriters who I think have scaled some pretty good mountains in their day and just suddenly decided, you know what? Let's do it. We're going to do Mount Everest now. And they got close to the top and slipped and fell off a cliff and was
they're selling it. They're selling it. Well, yeah.
I mean, that is what happened. It is an idea that can work. It's not impossible, but it is so difficult.
I disagree.
So difficult.
I don't think it can work. Well, let me put it this way. I do not see a way it can work. But pretty much what happens, if you probably know, but if you don't, at the end, Kirk sacrifices his life
Like
to
Spock
save the
did.
crew, just like Spock did in Star Trek 2. Oh, isn't that kind of similar? Almost word for word, Scotty calls Spock down, who's now captain. He comes down. It's through the window. It's literally,
lines,
he'll die.
yeah.
He's dead already.
Some lines are changed, but so many are recited verbatim that was my biggest problem. It was so distracting to hear those same lines again. I'm like, no.
Ship out of danger, yes. Kirk, puts his hand up. Spock does the thing. They do the little thing. They talk through the window. Kirk dies, even though they make it unbelievably clear about 30 minutes earlier how he's going to be brought back.
Hey, Bones, why are you messing with that Tribble? I'm like, come on. I'm like, this is screenwriting 101.
I'm trying to see if Khan's blood will bring him back to life.
I was like, and the fact that it hinges on a Tribble, I'm like, okay, I know you want to do give me that back. I know you want to do a fan servicey moment, but seriously, when you're just like, yeah, we're going to have it be a Tribble, I'm like,
this is literally a scene. It's almost, they changed some lines around, but obviously you cannot connect emotionally to this at all because all you're thinking is how similar this is to Star Trek
and that
2.
was my
and how it's intentional, obviously intentional.
And this is why I'm saying that it can work. It's just really hard. You have to not copy it word for word. Had you come up with a more original way to do this, or put a twist on it, but to do it exactly the same way, it's like Gus Van Sant's remake of Psycho. You're just distracted because you're just thinking, wow, how much better Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan was.
Oh,
that's all I was thinking was like, I should be feeling some emotion here, but all I'm thinking is how much this was done better by Nicholas Meyer.
And how about when after, Kirk dies the exact same way,
Khan!
Yeah, Spock is now the one who goes, Khan! Like that. We were looking at each other like, are you fucking kidding
I laughed, and I laughed hard. We may have a moment that finally, after so many years, finally beats Darth Vader going, no!
Spock yelling Khan is so ridiculous.
It is so...
It's stupid scene, and it's stupid on paper. It is a horrible ending. And then on top of that, this isn't as bad, but it's still bad in my opinion. Spock goes after the superhuman, because now he's as fast.
And what is the most lame climax? It's like The
Fugitive.
No.
With a Vulcan.
No, not even The Fugitive. It's Batman Begins with the whole monorail chase at the end. They just recycled the monorail chase. It's Spock and Khan battling on a monorail. And I'm like, really? So you crashed the super awesome stealth starship, which was great. You crashed that. That was an awesome set piece. Khan wants to crash it into Starfleet headquarters, which is right out of Wrath of Khan for me, in a good way. Like, that's like his Genesis attack. Like, I'm gonna take you fuckers all out. He crashes the ship straight into San Francisco. I'm like, amazing. I was like, now how are you gonna top this? Because I was like,
we'll fight on a car. Yeah.
BioShock Infinite has a more fascinating, like, flying rail car sequence, and that's a video game. Like,
and here's the thing too. Okay, so you are building up Khan wonderfully. You're building up this great character.
Great character.
And you're building up. You know who he is, and they even say there's a pointless cameo by Leonard Nimoy who says, Khan was one of the most dangerous people we've ever come across. They are building this fucker up, and
as much as that cameo, by the way, is completely pointless. As much as it was, I love that first look on Leonard Nimoy's face. Have you ever met a person named Khan? And Leonard Nimoy, just Spock, who's normally emotionless. Like, crap.
And so you're building this guy up. His people, he thinks, are now destroyed, and Spock destroyed them. You know, and I mean, he is destroyed. Now his world is gone, and you're thinking, what is this building to? Is this going to build up for another movie? Which I would accept, because there's so much going on in this movie. You build
Could
this
they have
character up so
exiled Khan
much.
to SETI Alpha 6 in this
Yeah,
universe
could-
when he comes back?
could you have had him get a-
return of the rehash of Khan?
Could you have had him gotten away and, you know, vows vengeance against Spock? Because we get it. There's a lot of movie here, and this is such a huge character. You gotta give him 2 movies. We got it. No, they resort to a not very impressive fight on top of some cars. After an
It was a
incredible crash,
boring
it's
fight.
this
That
very
makes
boring fight
no
scene.
sense, because Spock
Is now super strong. He's super
Yeah.
Vulcan.
I know Vulcans, when they, you know, get all horny or whatever, can, you know, fight to the death pretty impressively. I saw the original
Really? I did not know
series,
that.
but- oh yeah, no, Kirk and Spock have a fight, and like Vulcans can be pretty strong, but I'm like, I'm not buying that Khan the Superman is really gonna go down this easily. Well, here's the thing. Spock handles himself really well, and yet at the same time, Uhura beams down and fires with a stun phaser.
Yeah, okay, first
12
stun
times,
gun.
and it didn't work for Scotty. Scotty hits him once, and
He goes
Khan
down.
like a bitch. And then Uhura hits him 8 times in a
Is it,
row.
I can take it, I can take it, I can take it. Wait,
And yet Spock somehow is holding his own. Is Spock the Man of Steel now? Like, I don't...
Yeah,
it
he
makes
knocks
no
him out,
sense.
even though Kirk hit him about a dozen times. It had no effect on him, obviously. Yet somehow Spock, the Vulcan neck pinch works on him. Didn't get that. He's
But
like,
it took,
ow!
it took a little extra effort. Like,
Yeah, I
come
mean-
on. And this is what kills me, is it was such a clever screenplay up until that point.
And it got so ridiculous. And on top of that, I mentioned before, the epilogue is very rushed. And for all this buildup of this Khan character, and again, done so well, they just throw him back in the freezer. Kirk goes, oh well, and space, the final frontier. It is the
That's
most
it.
forgettable ending.
Yeah, the last, pretty much from the point that Scotty says, Spock, you'd better get down here. You know,
It's downhill.
from that point in the movie on, it blows it. And it blows it big time. It has one moment where it comes back, and that's when Khan crashes the ship into San Francisco. I thought maybe we'll have some redemption, and then it ends with the lame monorail chase. It's such a waste of talent. And it's such Bush League, like, screenwriter stuff. Like, I don't know, maybe someone else was hired. Maybe I shouldn't be too
It
hard on the
really feels
screenwriters.
like
maybe the
something
screenwriters are
happened.
going to come out at some point and be like, that wasn't me. No, total rewrite at some point, and that's not what we had at all. But
It's kind of unfathomable. It's like, because it was
yeah.
doing so well on its own. And it was not needed.
no, the issue is it is not impossible to do. The concept of a role reversal is a good one, but you have to put a twist. There was a hint of a twist, and I thought if they go this route, they may be able to salvage this, which is the concept that Spock had already felt Chris Pine Pike die. He had felt Pike die, and Kirk was not there when Pike, and Kirk comes in later, so there's this weird sort of dynamic of like Spock now knows what it feels like to die, and
But
he
do
tells
something
Uhura this.
different, not a
and Chris,
retread.
yeah, and Kirk, you know, I think somehow feels almost like in a way that he missed out because he wasn't there for Pike's death. So there's this dynamic of like Kirk is legitimately afraid. I'm like, well, here's something interesting. You don't see that much because God knows William Shatner would never allow it. But, you know, Kirk is vulnerable and afraid. Spock is defenseless to do anything. He has to relive this now kind of a second time. I'm like, had you found a way to do something interesting with that concept?
Just
I'm
without
like, that,
ripping off, too. Yeah, like, all that
and
stuff's
the concept
fine.
that it brings out Spock's human side, his human emotion of pure rage, that's all really good. And yet they got so bogged down in let's repeat this word for word, line from line, that whatever goodwill you were earning trying to put that original spin on it, you just ditched.
You're distracted. You're far too distracted.
Which is why I think it could be done, but you have to ditch that we're remaking the scene. No, you have to put an original spin on
Okay,
it.
so you're talking about not having them in the glass. So you're talking about like somewhere else on the ship or on a mountain or
I'm
something
saying
like
even
that.
if you wanted
and
to
still
I'm
have
saying
Kirk die,
even if
and
you
him
wanted to
accept
do it in the glass, you would have to have completely ditched the same lines, come up with a more original spin, remove Spock shouting. I mean, you basically have to tread with with such skill to say, yes, we're kind of doing this same scene. It's a similar scenario. This is a different twist on it. There was no different twist. There was a hint of a different twist. None of it. Same lines repeated. It was really, really lame. And the funny thing is, like I was talking about, the best scene there is Simon Pegg and Zoe.
Yeah,
when it
like,
cuts, I
they have no
choked
lines,
up.
but
I
they're
choked
like,
up when it cuts back. When it cuts back to Scotty and Uhura, I choked up. And they have no lines. They have like 6 seconds of screen time to evoke everything through the emotion in their face, and I'm like, that's where somebody got it. And like, I'm wondering, maybe the scene would have actually worked had there been very little, if any, dialogue. I'm like, maybe they just need to step back and say, screw dialogue. What if he just has to watch? What if Kirk is only barely aware that Spock is even out there, doesn't even know? What if Kirk is just dying and having a freak out, and
just
Spock
watches.
can't do anything and
How
has
much
to
more
watch?
powerful?
Yes,
In
that's
a
how I
different
would have rewritten
scenario,
it.
yeah.
That's what I would have rewritten it like that, where Spock has to watch somebody, his, quote unquote now best friend die, is trapped on the other side of the glass, can't do anything, because that was the secret of the Star Trek II scene, is the fact that Kirk always thought he had it under control, and for the first time ever, he's helpless. He's on the other side of the glass, he's trapped, and Nicholas Myers got that. He shoots Kirk's reaction more, and you get that feeling, and to Shatner's credit, he acts it beautifully.
No. Sorry. No, it actually has a pretty decent.
No, and the way he slumps and sinks, there's this, you feel like Kirk's been killed as well, and they just didn't get that. There's just no frickin' emotion to that scene. I'm like, come on, this should be like the centerpiece.
Oh, and even in the original movies, Spock comes back. They have a whole movie bringing him back, realizing his memory, and then a movie after that where he's getting his memory back. No, and what is it? You got the triple, and they just wakes up in a hospital bed. Oh, I am. Okay, thanks, Spock.
I guess I'm alright.
Nothing else. What was
Bones!
the purpose?
Thanks for reviving me.
Yeah, what was the purpose? Even Bones is like, oh, come on, it was easy.
Yeah, it's like Bioshock Infinite. It's like Elizabeth just takes a syringe, is like, and you wake up. Okay, now I get to play, the next game. Oh
what
my
a
God.
disappointment! What a huge disappointment to an otherwise wonderful Star Trek film.
And I can't fathom it, because, and that's why I hate. I said earlier, it's like kicking a puppy, because it's like beating up on your own child, like for a mistake they made, because they did.
God.
Well, no.
Really
I mean,
dark.
no, not literally beating up, but it's
Like something you love suddenly being like, you're not good enough.
Yeah, no, okay, let me put it this way. It's like raising your kid to do the right thing, and throughout all of their life they did, and then all of a sudden they kill somebody, and you're just like, what happened? It's just like, and you're just like, you go through all these emotions.
Right
of
here,
just like, I
connection
love
to
you.
Star Trek and child murder.
No, not child. Well, no.
The child has murdered. I'm just trying to make you sound worse, okay?
I'm just saying, it's like, I loved this so much, and then to watch it just kind of like stab you in the back like that, like, oh.
So those are the major spoilers of the film, and just the toughest stuff to get through. Otherwise, really great Star Trek film.
How do you do that?
I don't know.
How
When
do
the
you
rest
do
is
it?
so smart. I mean, we're just gonna keep repeating ourselves now, but yeah. Hopefully, maybe you agree, maybe you don't, maybe you liked it. I have no idea.
You get to see some Klingons.
That's true. Yeah, they were
tell you
cool looking
that.
Klingons too. So.
Yeah. And Carol Marcus is hot.
So, there you go. Take care, guys.
Mine. I hated it worse!